Hey, little Bobby, what'd you do this weekend?
I went to the store and I got a sucker. I got a sucker.
That's cool.
Hi.
I just realized I hadn't picked out a prize for the giveaway, so I ran over to the prize table.
I was like, where'd he go?
What would you guys have done if I didn't come back? Yeah.
Oh, you didn't get to see the panic on my face where the counter's going 3, 2, and there's an empty chair where Will sits. I'm like, where did he go at the last second?
Hey, welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of 1980s pop culture and its influence. Today, my name is Will. Joining me, as always, as you can see there in front of me on the screen, my friends and co-hosts, Kat and John.
Guys.
Hello. How's it going? Good to see you.
And if you can't see them, you're going to have to join us on some Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern because we're streaming live right now on Facebook and YouTube. And if you want to see more of John, you could even visit him on YouTube and or Facebook and or any podcast app at GenX Grown Up, where he hosts his own shows, weekly and daily shows. I mean, it's just not shows, but content. Tons of stuff.
He just won't shut up. He's constantly doing stuff.
Yeah.
And now, in light of what we're going to talk about today, John, I wonder how what we do fits into that. So it's going to be interesting question.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, hey, this episode is brought to you once again by our friends, the amazing folks over at Kokomo Toys and Collectibles. Thanks to Kokomo, we're going to be giving away a pop culture collectible to somebody in the live audience. It's really easy to win, too. So join us for that as well. Okay, hey, on today's show, speaking of which, we're going to talk about what, I got to tell you, I'm out of breath. The table is like,
I knew it.
Literally like 5 feet from the room. I got to take a deep breath.
Well, sometimes you get winded just moving your arms fast. So that sprint across the room might really be.
Now, I started exercising, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks ago, too, to build up my stamina so I could run 5 feet and back without being winded, but to no avail.
Well, you're going to have to run more than 5 feet, Will. What are you doing, 2?
No,
2 feet?
Well, yeah, I'm working up to it, Kat. Come on.
Okay, all right.
It's been a while.
Little by little.
Fair.
Yeah. Hey, on today's show, we're going to be talking about what passes for entertainment in 2024 and whether it has any links to the media that we enjoyed in the 1980s. And I'm looking into folks joining us live here because we're going to certainly look forward to your input and feedback about that. Hey, before that, though, we're going to review current news stories related to 1980s media, including David Lee Roth prods Sammy Hagar.
That's an awesome tease.
My God.
Salem's lot may never see the light of day. That's a story about vampires. And some third news item. But I want to surprise you guys and folks that are watching live. It's not a surprise news story so much as I'm sure you can anticipate what will happen maybe. Okay.
I'm so curious.
Anyway, time codes are in the show notes if you want to skip around. But don't skip right now because we're going to get right into 1980s news. Hey, as reported this week, as reported by consequence.net, per David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar was molested by aliens. Can you feel the love between them? Do you not recognize that song, Kat?
Oh, yeah. Love comes walking in.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Well, you'll recall that the two former Van Halen frontmen, the tension between them rose rather precipitously towards the end of last year when Hagar seemed to invite Roth to perform with him and then immediately rescinded that apparent offer when Roth accepted.
We invite artists to come join us, not you.
I don't know who I feel. I don't know if I have a dog in this fight or whatever the expression is, a horse in this race. I don't know that I care, but it's just fascinating what two older men, I don't even say middle-aged men because we're middle-aged. They're older than we are.
Yeah.
That otherwise have, the world at their fingertips will choose to argue about via social media.
Maybe that's all they have to do. Look, if you have that much money and fame and just sitting around the house all day, maybe all you have to do is pick fights with your nemesis.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, David Lee Roth in the last few weeks, it's like he just discovered social media and has been posting weird videos of him in his studio, like dancing and singing. It's bizarre, man. I don't know. I mean, weird even for him, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, it seems like David Lee Roth's latest post, however, is in response to this back and forth between the two of them. In a YouTube video, Roth commented on Hagar's belief. It's Hagar, right? It's Hagar?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Hagar?
Hagar's belief that aliens abducted him as a teenager. According to Roth, this explains Hagar's behavior later in life. Roth took the chance to ding Hagar for apparently trying to start a feud, saying, quote, "I know when you're abducted by aliens, you get sex probed." All right, so he knows that. Roth says he knows that.
That's a fact.
We've all seen South Park. We know.
For the last 10 summers, I haven't had a single syllable about Hagar. Not one. And in the face of a constant fart gas aimed in our direction here at the Mojo Dojo Diamond Dave Laboratories. And I think we've arrived at both a technical and medical answer that may explain some of Hagar's conduct and his constant spew of diarrhea vitriol in our direction. Sammy Hagar was abducted by aliens, and it was sex probe. Now! Well, I should have done that the whole time. Remember
that. Do over.
That's very nice. That's very nice. Yeah, well done.
Dave then likened Hagar's purported incident with a piece of electronic gear common in the 1980s, saying, quote, "But what I do know with absolute accuracy," maybe he's not sure about the probing thing, I don't know, "is that if you take half a popsicle stick and you jam it into a cassette player, no matter how carefully you extract it, that tape player will never be the same again." End quote.
What the hell is he talking about?
Oh, you don't get that metaphor? I think Kat got the metaphor, right?
No.
Is that supposed to be the probe? Is
Yeah,
that the
I think
idea?
so,
Is that
right?
what we're saying?
If someone gets
And Sammy is the cassette? Is that the idea?
Yeah, the cassette tape player, yeah.
Did you guys listen to all his ramblings? Like it was like 23 minutes of rambling.
No, I didn't sit
this?
there for 23 minutes. No.
Oh my! Well, I wasn't sitting. I was walking around doing stuff, but
She was trying to escape it. Where's it coming from? Ow!
It's off the rails, completely off the rails.
Yeah.
And he's stoned the whole time.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Oh,
Is that apparent?
he goes on and on about his marijuana bill.
Oh, okay.
No.
This was wow, drug fueled.
Wow.
Well, that solves it. Maybe he only goes on social media after lightning.
Yeah, that would explain why he's dancing around too and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yes.
At least part of what Roth suggests is true. And maybe you guys know this already. In a 2002 interview with Guitar World magazine, Hagar said that he was a true believer of extraterrestrial life. As early as 1968, Hagar claims that, quote, "they used me in an experimental fashion. The easiest way to put it is they downloaded my brain information and I caught them doing it," end quote.
Okay.
In a 2011 interview for his then new book, Red, My Uncensored Life in Rock, at mtvhive.com, Hagar told the reporter that the passage in the book described as a dream in which he is contacted by aliens from outer space was in fact reality.
So that pretty much takes Diamond Dave off the hook. He's just saying what Hagar's already said, really, pretty much, right?
Yeah. I guess maybe, yeah. And maybe Hagar would even agree with Roth that you're changed after that. In fact, we have proof of that. Because this reminds us that in the band's 1986 concert video, Live Without a Net, Hagar tells the crowd that the song Love Walks In is about aliens.
Oh, that's ringing a bell in my head. Yeah.
And while the first word in the song is contact,
Yeah.
there's plenty of more obvious lyrics, including, and here's the chorus, right? Love comes walking in. Some kind of alien waits for the opening. Then simply pulls the string. So he might be providing directions as how to probe even.
That sounds like, yeah, absolutely.
This got me thinking that lately we know there's been an uptick in UFO sightings, right? In fact, I've got some statistics here. The biggest, I guess, study at the time done with regard to UFO sightings was something called Project Blue Book. And we spoke to Jerome Clark a long time ago about Project Blue Book. But between 1947 and 1969, the U.S. Air Force cataloged 12,618 sightings of UFOs as part of this study. And the end of the project in 69, when they concluded that most of the sightings could be explained away by something natural or a hoax. And then fast forward to today, we know that, in 2022, the Pentagon announced, after this, certain videos had been coming out and leaked and otherwise, published, that they formed a new office called the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. What is that acronym? Arrow. Oh, it's Arrow.
Oh.
AARO. To investigate
Nice.
these, claims in the same way that the Project Blue Book did. And then among those, they would include, quote, that objects that might pose a threat to national security. Well, since then, the office received approximately 800 reports of unidentified objects to investigate in 2023, which was up from 650 from 2022. So if you average it out, it's up from that 20-year period in the 40s and 60s, but not by much. But conversely, we hear little about abductions anymore, right? I mean,
Right. Yeah.
in the 1980s, we had so much fear and media that was, suggesting this. But lately, no. I'm not sure what could account for that, except for maybe advances in medicine and psychology.
I think it's just drones.
Okay.
The number of abductions have remained the same, while the number of sightings have increased because of the increased number of unmanned aerial vehicles that people can go buy at Best Buy.
Well, well, what I would suggest though is that abductions are down, and I can't find any reports on numbers of abductions. But I can say this: if you Google abductions, the last ones you're going to see are from like the 80s, like 87, I think. You don't find any major reports of people claiming they have been abducted anymore.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
We got a lot to offload.
What's wrong with us?
Right.
I mean, we were good enough to abduct and probe in the 80s, and now, humans.
They figured it out. They don't want to probe anymore.
We've explored their orifices. No needle.
Yeah, now I picture, John with his ass hanging out. What's wrong with me? Hey, E.T.
Why won't someone love me?
On the back of his shirt, it says probe this with an arrow going down.
Can you see the back of my shirt? How do you know that?
Yeah. All right. Anyway. All right. Hey, in other 1980s news, as reported by Deadline and elsewhere, the fate of Salem's Lot is in limbo. Now, you guys maybe never, are not familiar with the story necessarily, but I'm certainly you've heard the title. It's one of those ones that, I think we were aware of as kids, if only because there was an adaptation of Salem's Lot in 1979, a TV miniseries.
Okay.
But the novel, for folks who don't know, was written in 1975 by master of horror stories, Stephen King. And it's about a writer, like many of his stories, a writer that returns to his hometown in Maine. Again, it's just a lot of his stuff, is a little skews close to home.
Yep.
And discovers that its residents are becoming vampires. It was first adapted into the miniseries that I mentioned, and it was directed by Tobe Hooper at the time, legendary director Tobe Hooper. And in 2004, TNT did their own adaptation with a new part miniseries starring Rob Lowe. Which
okay.
I don't have anything against Rob Lowe. I don't know. It seems like a mismatch to me. Rob Lowe in horror. I think I'd be distracted by his just awe-inspiring beauty, to really be scared of anything.
I'd be worried that he might damage that jawline if he gets hit by a vampire.
or a vampire tries to bite him. He just crunches down on them.
Just crunch it with his jaw?
Yeah, just crunch it down with the jaw, yeah.
Do we know that he looks handsome in the show?
When doesn't he look handsome?
Yeah, I don't know that anybody doesn't. He's ever looked bad. Anyway, most recently, a new adaptation of the book went into development back in 2019, and it was shot in Massachusetts in 2021. It's in the can. In fact, a theatrical release of it was once planned for September of 2022. And then Warner Brothers. You're going to see where this is going.
Frazzle, record, frazzle.
Wait, is that a Warner Brothers character? It is. That's perfect.
Yes. I'm working on it. See, it's all about being prepared with the material. See?
Yes.
I checked that off my list. Do Yosemite Sam noise at this point in the show. Got it?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you got?
Check that off the list.
Cat's got it too. Okay. Yeah. Okay, very good. So Warner Brothers pushed the film into spring of 2023 due to, quote, COVID-related delays in the post-production realm, end quote. It was then scheduled to be streaming only. So they weren't even going to put it in theaters, and they were going to release it straight onto Max, their streaming service, claiming that the strikes that we had last summer forced them to come up with content from somewhere, and this film already was, completed. Now, the studio has since removed the movie Salem's Lot entirely from its schedule. It just vanished like a vampire during the day. It's gone.
Yes.
Well, Stephen King is having none of it. We know he normally, oftentimes doesn't like adaptations of his own work. Famously, he's complained about ones that he doesn't care for.
Yes, isn't that true? Right. Okay.
But this time, he's now calling out Warner Brothers for not having released the film. He took to social media to share his thoughts that he had seen the film and he's pleased with it. He said, quote, between you and me, I've seen the new Salem's Lot and it's quite good. Old school horror filmmaking, slow build, big payoff. Not sure why Warner Brothers is holding back. Not like it's embarrassing or anything. Who knows? I just write the fucking things.
This is more Warner Brothers being Warner Brothers. Looking for
like
tax write-offs, probably. Like if you do it once, maybe. You do it twice, dubious. But here's a third one, and it's like, really?
Right.
Really?
Wow.
Batgirl, then Acme, then this. I mean, that's a pattern of activity I submit to the jury. That's
pattern and practice. That's right. Yeah. Very good legal jargon there. Yeah. Yeah. And if you need any other assurances that the delay is not likely related to the quality of the film, in addition to Stephen King's compliments, the movie was directed by Gary Dauberman, who wrote Warner Brothers' recent It adaptations, which were fantastic.
Wonderful.
And he also wrote several of the Annabelle films and even directed Annabelle Comes Home. So this guy's got, bona fides, as they say.
My favorite Annabelle film. The other ones are kind of, but The Comes Home is actually the best one of them. Yeah.
I think I've only seen the first one. Okay.
Put it on your list, Kat. It's worth seeing.
Should?
Annabelle Comes Home on the list. Yeah.
All right.
And anyway, so as John alluded to, this isn't the first time they did it. And just to update folks, we did talk about the potential future for Coyote versus Acme, which looks like it was going to be rescued from the dustbin. But it turns out that live action animation hybrid that was to star Will Forte and John Cena and others, and the Looney Tunes gang, in cartoon form, which had been earmarked for demolition last year, but only to be rescued due to outrage by filmmakers who had seen it, said they were going to let the filmmakers shop it around. Well, it turns out they may not have been entirely sincere about that prospect because according to several people familiar with the situation, Netflix, Amazon, and Paramount have all screened it and liked it. And in fact, they submitted what were considered handsome offers to take over the project. Paramount even proposed releasing it in theaters as part of their acquisition. But Warner Brothers, which stood to make or stands to make still $35 to $40 million, just writing it off for tax purposes, wanted something in the ballpark of $75 to $80 million.
Jeez.
But they didn't tell anybody that. And instead, what they did was, and from Warner Brothers' perspective, it was a take it or leave it number. If you didn't hit 75 or 80, they weren't going to accept it. But they didn't
so
tell
you didn't know the number.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no.
What?
Or if they did.
In the dark, good luck.
if they did, the offers they made, which I think I read were like 35 or was around their write-off amount, 35, 40.
Oh.
That they thought they were making a counter offer, if not an initial offer, and thought like always, we're just going to be a dialogue, only to find out that they were like, nah, done.
So they could have stood to make more than the write-off amount if that was the offered amount.
Yeah.
And then, like Warner Brothers could come back with a really high number, and then they meet in the middle. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What sense does that make?
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Certainly there must be some financial reason that holding it is somehow more beneficial to them. The numbers say, sell it, let the art out, but
let the art
out. See that
out
movie
is what occurred. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Well, I'm reading about this. It's like, what? This is made. It seems really unfair to just not somehow be able to give it to the world. Oh my gosh.
And if you really want to get pissed off, what makes the situation even worse is that according to a source close to the project, the 4 Warner Brothers executives responsible for making this decision haven't seen the finished film.
Oh my God.
And the CEO, president, David Zaslav, hasn't seen any of it at all. Nothing.
Sons of bitches.
Wow. Wow.
Anyway, per Toon Hive, the most recent uncertainty regarding the film prompted a response from Looney Tunes franchise actor Eric Bauza, who voiced Wile E. Coyote and other characters in the film. This guy does most of Warner Brothers characters today.
Oh.
And he is amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, before awarding a prize at this year's Annie Awards, which are an award given in connection with animation, Bowser, or more properly Bugs, and Daffy sought to rally support for the film after Bugs pointed out that Daffy was having a bad year because he lost the lead role in The Boy and the Heron, which is a boy and a bird animated feature. Was cut from Migration, which is about ducks.
Oh my God.
The duck sign.
And was also dumped by Taylor Swift for Travis Kelce. Daffy had this to say.
Those first two hurt, Rabbit, but we all know that third one was a CIA plot. It could have been worse, Daffy. We could be Wile E. Coyote right now. I hate to be political, but relief! Coyote versus Acme!
Oh my gosh.
And now that that's over, and by that I mean my career, let's give out some awards for real.
Yeah. You heard the crowd groan when he said that, right? Like, oh, crap.
I'm poised to like that movie like I like Roger Rabbit from the things that I've seen.
Yeah.
And I'm just afraid I'm never going to. Look, we'll see it eventually. I mean, even that old 80s Fantastic Four movie finally leaked somewhere. We'll see it eventually. But it needs a proper release. You know, it needs to be, frustrating.
Let's. I forgot to check in on comments from our folks here at live stream. Let's see if any folks with regard to any of our news stories so far. And then we've got one more here. Let's see. Retro Day says what you don't know is that Dave is actually the alien. Yeah.
I'm doing the probing.
Yeah.
Let me get in there. Wow. You didn't know I'm the popsicle stick.
You're kind of just sounding.
Much
better. You were sounding a little Bobcat Goldthwait there. You went back to Dave now.
They got a similar energy when Bobcat.
They do.
Well, David Lee Roth is just a more coherent Bobcat Goldthwait when you're doing an impression.
Oh, more coherent. Oh,
wow. I never thought of it that way.
Well, more intelligible is what I guess I'll say. More intelligible, less gravel in it. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Miss So says the aliens use Uber and Lyft now, so no need to abduct anyone. Yeah, that's true.
Nice.
Lyft. I like the Lyft. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Lyft.
Karen says, what about Kate McKinnon's SNL character? Oh, my gosh. That's so hilarious. If you don't know what she's talking about, she does a character who claims she was abducted by aliens.
Oh,
and they've done the craziest stuff to her. There's usually a panel of multiple people, and the first goes, well, they did this to me. The second one goes, well, they did this to me. And she's like, you guys had it easy. Oh, no. You're never going to believe what they did to me. And what she says is hilarious.
Awesome.
Did I misspeak? Crazy Wonder says Rob Lowe Salem a lot was in 2004, not 2014. Okay, my bad.
Oh, there's a 4 in there. That's good.
Yeah, maybe not. And let's see. Any comments with regard to what did we just talk about? Salem's Lot. Brandon says if Stephen King puts his approval on a vision of his own work, just put the damn thing out there.
Here, Brandon.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, finally, our final news story, as reported by Deadline.
This is the
Star Wars abandoned draft script sells at auction.
Oh boy.
See where this is going.
This is the surprise.
Hey, Harrison Ford left something behind something more than his toothbrush when he departed a London rental back in 1976. The people who owned a home that he rented found a script.
No way.
Dated March 15, 1976, entitled The Adventures of Luke Starkiller.
Oh, that's super early.
Yeah,
Yes.
right?
That's early draft.
Turns out it's the fourth draft of the screenplay that became Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope.
Wow.
It was unbound and incomplete and included such memorable scenes as the introduction of Chewbacca in a tavern. It turns out that Ford had rented the upper 2 levels of this home in the Notting Hill area there in London while working on the first Star Wars film. The owners, meanwhile, lived on the lower levels, although they claimed they had never heard of Ford or his co-stars, Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill, who would visit time to time, which makes sense. I mean, I'm trying to think how you would know them otherwise by then.
Unless he'd done some carpentry work for one of them. Otherwise, no real big reason.
According to Sarah Terode, the co-owner of Excalibur Auctions, it's got his DNA on it.
Oh.
Ooh. Where'd you find it?
They wanna wonder.
Looks like it slid down behind the commode.
Talk about a probe.
You really love that script.
They wanna wonder.
Anyway, she really did say that. But anyway, the script was
It
sold.
wasn't always unbound.
Oh, the script was sold to an Austrian collector during a live streamed auction on February 17th. So you know what that means. Once again, it's time to play.
Uh-oh.
In Philadelphia, it's worth $50.
All right, everybody can play, including you folks in the stream. We're going to guess how much the selling bid was for this fourth draft of the film that became Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. I'm going to give you some help here a little bit.
Okay.
Don't blame me if this isn't helpful, but I did do some research to see what scripts have sold for in the past.
Okay.
And these are the closest ones I could find. Carrie Fisher's heavily annotated, and this is how it's described by the auction house, leather-bound fifth draft script for The Empire Strikes Back sold for $62,500 in 2021. Fisher died in 2016. I'm not sure if that had any bearing on it.
Okay.
And then more currently, because that was a couple of years ago, Anthony Daniels' personal hand-annotated fourth draft script for A New Hope. So this is a little more on the nose here. Which will be up for auction starting March 1st for an auction that will run through March 12th. So you still have your chance to bid on it.
Oh,
They're estimating that it will fetch somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000.
huh. Okay.
How much do you think this script sold for? Folks in the chat, you can guess as well. No cheating. No cheating. Come on. Have some dignity.
Can I vote that Kat goes first? Because I always go first, and then Kat lowballs me. She $1
right,
me.
the $1 thing, yeah.
I don't. Well, didn't I? Last time I bid higher and it wasn't high enough.
And you won.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You kind of riff off of what I did. Yeah, no, you're just smarter than me. I know why.
You have wonderful logic that I use to my advantage.
That's wrong every time. I've done all the scientific calculations.
That's it, Kat.
and
Figure
I'm
it out on your
incorrect.
own. Let John leverage your logic. Or then hear him explain why you're wrong.
Well, I'm not sure you're going to get a whole lot of logic here. It's going to be more gut.
Okay.
But I feel like because it feels kind of rare, kind of unique. And I think it's going to go higher than Carrie Fisher's amount there. And with the DNA,
They were no wonder.
I'm going to say $80,000.
Is there a little circle where the DNA is? Here's the stain right there. If you're wondering.
All right, John, what do you think?
Okay, I think that's high.
Okay.
And the reason I think it's high is because of all the things. It's an earlier script, which adds to the rarity, so it's a little harder to come by. But you said it's incomplete. You said it's unbound. I'm going to go like 31.5. 31.5 is my number.
All right, very good. Let's see if any folks have tried to take a guess. Some folks, people are cowards. You guys are cowards. Brandon's
Can
the
we
only
look
brave.
now to see what they said?
Yeah.
Before you tell us the answer,
I'm not gonna,
I posit, Kat, that Will was setting us up to make us lowball by giving us other numbers, and it's probably crazy high. That's my estimation.
well, okay. I mean, I gave you a range.
Because he says, well, just for reference, here's like 20, 30, 40, just,
$5.
knowing that it would influence our bids. So that's okay.
I did need a little influence.
And folks are not willing to guess. Brandon is willing to guess. However, he says he's going to guess $30,000. So he's right along there with you, John.
He $1 me.
Yeah. He inversed $1 you.
He did, yeah.
The correct amount is $13,600.
Oh, wow.
So you guys are both wrong.
We all went over.
Yeah.
We all went over.
I honestly thought that was a steal.
Mm.
I think there's something more quaint about it being partial even.
Right. It's just, and it's such a quirky little, they found it. Oops.
Yeah.
He left it behind. That's kind of a cool backstory.
So, yeah, there's a provenance to it that's interesting, but
yeah.
Again, for the reasons I said, because I was queued up for like, $1 million. And I heard the others. And then I'm like, then the things you said, the fact that it was, not complete and all that. So even cheaper than I thought. That was a bargain.
Yeah.
And that was lower than the Anthony Daniels script, right?
Oh, by far. Yeah.
Well, at least the
what was
estimated value. Now, I believe, and I meant to write this down. I didn't. I believe the Carrie Fisher script, the final bid exceeded what they estimated to. I believe it was expected to go for something like 30 to 50,000.
Okay.
And it went for 62.5. So it's likely or possible. Certainly, Anthony's may go higher than 20. But the fact that one for 13.5, it's probably going to be between 10 and 20. I would guess. I don't know. Who knows? You never know how these things. I want to know the backstory. Like, why did these Why are these people selling it now?
Right.
Why we haven't heard about it? Even if they didn't want to sell it, you would think this would have been a news item several years ago.
Oh, did I miss it? I was under the impression that it was just found. It's been found for some time and they just exposed it. I thought someone just found it in the house.
When I read it, it didn't seem like they had just found it. No. It seems like they've had it, but I don't know. You're right. Maybe it's just not clear enough. But.
I'm just trying to figure out how to work in Han's shot first.
I think you already did.
I think he did.
They wanna wonder.
Oh.
All right. Hey, you can't beat that. That was 1980s.
Hey, our independent podcast is brought to you every week by folks just like you. So if you'd like to help us out, please follow us on the podcast platform you're listening to right now. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share an episode on Facebook. All of these actions just take a moment and are 100% free. But if you'd like to chuck in a buck and help us keep publishing the show week after week, please visit us at 1980snow.com/support to find out how you can send us $1 or $2. And thank you so much. It means a lot.
No, I really wish I had consulted with you guys before I decided what to give away tonight, or consult with the audience, because we have this whole table full of stuff to give away. It's just like, let people decide at this point.
Maybe you should just put a camera over the top
I thought
so they can
about
see
it,
everything and pick it out, right?
It's like classic Wheel of Fortune. You can give away points and then now let's go on a shopping spree.
And the camera just keeps panning.
All right. I'll take the Deadpool pop vinyl for $3,000. I'll take
Yeah. All right,
and the rest on a gift certificate.
Yeah. and I'm debating whether or not to start giving away stuff I have here that I don't know. I got enough stuff here, including, as I mentioned last week, or I teased, I don't know if it went in the show or not, but I said it to you folks on the live. John Snyder's autographed DVD, Christmas Cards movie. The movie's so bad. Which we were going to give away when he was going to be on our show a couple of years ago.
Right.
And also I have a copy of his book, also was in connection with that show, which I read. So it's a used book. I don't know. Would anybody want that? I'd give that away. I'll just give it to someone if they want it too.
Get rid of this thing.
Well, anyway, speaking of vinyl, what'd you say? What was the vinyl pop you teased, John?
Oh, I said some Deadpool pop vinyl.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So that's what we're giving away tonight, courtesy of Kokomo Toys and Collectibles. It is the large size.
Oh my goodness.
Daredevil.
Oh, it is a Deadpool. I called it.
It is a large size Deadpool. It's number 543. It is gigantic. It apparently was only available at Walmart. This is worth something.
Wow.
So hopefully it goes to a good home that likes Deadpool.
I hope so too. Yeah. Any Deadpool lovers in our eyeballs?
Yeah. All right. Brandon says he loves some Deadpool, so maybe you can win.
Ooh, all right. Go,
all right.
Brandon.
So, and I mentioned that's courtesy of Kokomo Toys and Collectibles, our friends over there in Kokomo, Indiana. But you can get what you want to get, any collectible that they have, tons, over at kokomotoys.com. You can find that out. All right, cool. Hey, so like I mentioned, I want to talk to you guys about the state of media today. And we teased it a little bit when we were talking about this Warner Brothers. The Warner Brothers, I want to say business practice now, business policy, where they've figured out maybe they can make more money creating things and never releasing them.
So weird.
Actually release. I don't know. Anyway, but it's consistent with what I
Whatever
learned,
makes you money.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yes.
So look, this was inspired by this brilliant piece, I think, of observations made by this gentleman named Ted Gioia over on honest-broker.com. He's got what is it called? A Substack or something, where you write. Maybe Substack is a brand. Is that a brand, John? Substack? Do you know?
I don't know what that is.
Okay. So he's got a blog, let's say. So over there on honest-broker.com, he writes a lot of smart things about a lot of them is pop culture related, which is how I found him. But anyway, that piece is from over there called The State of the Culture 2024. And what he talks about is, and I'll provide you some of the information from there. It's just so we can, as a talking point, because I don't know what the solution is. I just have more questions than anything. And I'm curious what all of you folks listening think. But he writes that until recently, the entertainment industry has been on a growth tear. So much so that anything artsy or indie or alternative got squeezed as collateral damage. But he believes we're in a post-entertainment culture, one that, it doesn't value creativity or certainly the arts anymore. It doesn't produce content that's going to be helpful to society at all. part of how he, posits this or gets this is that he says, well, take a look at where entertainment companies are right now. The movie business, like we just talked about, Warner Brothers actually makes more money canceling movies than releasing them. Paramount just axed 800 employees and is looking for a new owner. Universal's now releasing movies to streaming just 3 weeks after they're in the theater. After years of growth, number of scripted TV series is shrinking. In 2024, dead musicians are worth more than alive ones, as referring to catalogs itself for money that music companies wouldn't otherwise invest on some new up-and-coming artist, on development. It's just, you're shaking your head, John.
I didn't quite understand that. Now you're saying the value of the catalog, which I get, but we could debate that one. But I think that one might be, of all you list, that was the one that's probably the most expected because those are proven catalogs as opposed to someone new. You don't invest as much. So,
but I think, and I guess we don't know. I don't know because I wasn't prepared to make this point or talk about this, but whether or not, to what extent music companies invested in catalogs at all. And if they did, to what portion of that was their budget? Because now, and we've talked about this before, I think, when we talked about, I can't remember what it was, maybe one-hit wonders, and today, I don't remember, it was a while ago. But the idea that music companies are not investing in developing artists, right? They don't spend money doing that anymore. You get one song, it's on TikTok, and that's it. We're done. You do it, and you do it on your own in your bedroom. Anyway.
Right. Yeah.
But so even though we have these signs of entertainment, at least the entertainment produced by these normal traditional types of media that we're used to shrinking, based on these examples that I gave you, our appetite for entertainment is not shrinking. We're, more voracious than ever. So instead of them producing more, media that we would expect to fill this void, there's something else that's taking up the space that's in this vacuum created by traditional media. The fastest growing sector of this economy, this new, sort of evolving post-entertainment culture economy, is what Joya calls distraction. It's basically the scrolling that's encouraged by TikTok.
Sure.
And now the other platforms that are following TikTok's lead, Facebook has Reels, Instagram has Reels, YouTube has whatever they call it. Twitter's got something.
Shorts.
The key, according to Joya, is that each of these stimulus lasts only a few seconds. And the power of the form of this media is not the quality of the content. It's body chemistry. That our brain rewards us for brief bursts of distractions by releasing dopamine, which makes us feel good, of course. And so we repeat the stimulus, which is going on to the next one and the next one. I don't know about you guys, but I'll be perfectly honest. I'm better about it lately. But when I first got on TikTok, 45 minutes would go by and I'd wake up from like a stupor, like a hypnagogic state. And literally, this is the thought that gets me, off the couch and off my phone. What do you have to show for it? The 45 minutes you just invested. And there's nothing around.
Nothing.
I couldn't repeat to you anything I learned. Certainly.
No.
So do you think, did you tear through like 90 reels, or were you watching the same 3 on repeat over and over and over?
It was when I was still getting those thirst traps, John, that we talked about.
Yes.
Oh, those ones you have to pause.
Yes, at the moment. I almost saw it.
To see nothing.
I don't even know what it is.
When I could just go watch porn. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Anyway,
it's long form porn and you have to fast forward. It's a real irritation.
Short porn.
Short porn? That might be a thing. That's probably the next thing. Let's not give anybody any ideas. We're trying to pull out of this nosedive, people.
Wait, okay. Let me write this down. Short
No, John,
porn.
don't. Throw
All
that
right.
paper away with Yosemite Sam.
I'm going to go register shortporn.com. I'll be right back.
You don't want another cease and desist letter, John.
One is plenty.
Anyway, unfortunately, this cycle of getting dopamine and repeat is the model for addiction. Just general addiction, getting addicted to anything.
Yeah.
Which, as Joya describes, is a feature of this content, not a bug.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He suggests that creating addicts and not art is the goal of our so-called entertainment companies. And I would say that's probably always been the goal, right? We talk about eyeballs, right?
Yeah.
Eyeballs. John comes from TV, eyeballs. And
That's right.
It's just that, just like with everything else, it become more efficient at getting and maintaining those eyeballs, right? Anyway, while it's certainly important to get pleasure, in your day-to-day lives, and certainly, look, I don't deprive myself from this. I get now I do it in little bursts. Sorry, I got 10 minutes. I, checked out got some my fix.
Yeah.
But as you're probably aware, this cycle of, dopamine repeat, just like addictions to any type of drug, has consequences. In the very least, the enjoyment we get from this distraction will wane.
Mm-hmm.
And you've heard this, before, whether on a TV show, an after-school special or something, that eventually you need your fix just to feel normal.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you pleasure. It's just that when you don't have it, you feel depressed or down.
Yeah.
And it turns out that phenomenon, which is referred to as anhedonia, I hope I'm saying that right. Someone will correct me.
Anhedonia. Yeah, you got
Anhedonia
it.
is a major part or a major factor of depression. So we're starting to see now folks who are depressed, but don't have any other, normal or not normal, I guess isn't the right word, usual or expected types of, what would you say, Kat? I don't know, symptoms.
Like an analog method of getting that dopamine hit, right? They're in recovery and they go into a clinic and go, let me get just one reel, just to hold me over.
Yeah, I guess what I was.
Yeah, and you're coming down off of it. I can
look. I guess what I was thinking is, there's often other indicators why someone might be feeling depressed, and they're not necessarily external. We know that. I'm a big advocate for mental health and taking care of yourself. But that folks could have none of those things.
Right.
Let
Yeah.
me really get into what's going on with you. Oh, you're on TikTok 8 hours a day. That's why you're depressed.
Exactly.
We're starting to see that now. Anyway, but even though these big companies that we're talking about that are creating these, this technology and are leveraging this technology, they know this.
Oh, yeah.
They've been warned and they don't care because it's become a more efficient way for them to make money. And so instead of, getting movies, they're writing those off. Warner Brothers' model might be getting rid of making movies altogether. We just got to shelve the last few we have.
Right.
And then we're just going to make 15-second videos. Anyway, instead of movies, we got these little video clips. Instead of, long form music, you hear these little TikTok things that there's some songs my daughter only knows because it's a little slice of a song on TikTok.
Oh my gosh. Right. Yeah.
There are a few like that. I mean, yeah. Well, before we got into the whole quick fix dopamine TikTok thing, I mean, my old man screaming, get off the lawn initially was thinking, there are these cycles, and I'm sure people in the 40s were like, man, they're killing vaudeville with all these damn movies.
And then the talkies came.
Right. Things do come along.
Yes.
Yeah.
And each of them seems to be an evolution that's brought about by the progression of technology. This, however, is not a progression of technology beyond what we had for film and television and whatever. This is just another way to consume it that is exploiting the human nature, the quick hit, the give me the next reel, the next, little bit. I guess now that I have been all the way through your posit of what the problem is, this wasn't precipitated by a technological change. This was a way that companies found to exploit the existing technology in a way that easier to make, easier to exploit, and led to addictive behavior.
And isn't it about access? I have a computer in my pocket all the time. And so much of the content that can be viewed in these little bits, it's created by so many people. And it's so different from a film, which has so many people involved in the making of it, but it's a team and they're all working really hard for a long time for one big sustained final project. And, but that, all the reels or the whatever, it's anybody could do it, right? Everybody can.
And I tell you, Kat, as a data point to support your supposition, what aspect ratio are these quick hit pieces of content? They're the shape of your phone. They're not the shape of your television.
Exactly right. Yeah.
They know that you're consuming it on the instant access in my pocket. I have 3 seconds waiting for a cab. I'm going to, right. Yeah. Where you might not get involved in a film or a television show. They know that you have time to see 10 reels while you're waiting on the bus, and you're going to view it on that box in your pocket that is vertical. That's why they're formatted that way. Yeah.
I have something I wanted to say about the addiction thing. Before the pandemic, I would check Facebook when I would get a nudge to, like from my email, like, hey, or on my birthday. But then when I suddenly had extra time on my hands, I wanted to feel connected to the people. And I suddenly was using Facebook a lot, just on there, just seeing what people were doing. And I didn't really post that much myself, but I would comment on things, things people posted.
Right.
And I loved, I didn't realize it right away, but all of a sudden I was loving seeing notifications. Like, and then I'd see the list and I'd be like, oh, who responded to me that way? Who liked my comment? Or, oh, what? And it became, I realized, oh my gosh, I am addicted to this because it would, like, I wasn't thinking about it in terms of dopamine, but certainly that's what was happening. And
there's a little tiny burst of validation, right? Oh, somebody liked it. Yeah,
exactly. So I get it.
Yeah. Karen says there's no patience. Anytime something new starts to build, it gets torn down. I fell in love with Rainbow High last year. I don't know what that is. They were introduced in 2020, but I was a late adopter. Miss So says, same, Will. I got really addicted to Instagram to the point where after months I had to delete it. I'm spending hours on there every day. Yeah. So no TikTok or Facebook, et cetera, for me anymore.
I guess I don't have the luxury of disconnecting from social because my job effectively is I need to manage social. But even before that, I see people saying I'm taking a vacation from social, or I'm not gonna use TikTok anymore. That is an alien concept to me. I'm not going to deprive myself of this thing. I don't think I'm addicted, but even if I am, I'm not going to turn it off because
it sounds like addiction, John.
I could quit anytime I want. It never occurred to me to delete something or turn it off or whatever. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe someone external would have to tell me, dude, you're really addicted to that, because I don't believe I am. Maybe other people are just more self-aware and they see themselves spiraling and they go, yeah, I'm stepping back. I don't have that kind of self-discipline maybe.
Well, I was actually going to say not exactly the opposite, but you have great self-awareness, John. And I feel like maybe you just always are able to monitor yourself and not have it.
I'd like to think that's true. I don't
spiral into a problem.
I'm not the one that could say it though, am I? So thanks for that.
And you're so productive, John. I think you're probably fine.
I think so.
Otherwise,
you didn't say we haven't heard from him for 3 days. Yeah. Oh, he's out TikToking.
We hear from you every day, John. Every day. You're fine.
He's putting DNA on a script.
They wanna wonder.
Do we have a guest?
So this is a question I'd like us to consider, because our show is 1980s now, and we're complaining a lot about now, or scared about now, I suppose, is whether or not this idea of I don't want to say instant gratification necessarily, but I that's the phrase that kept coming to mind. I felt like that was something that I became more aware of in the 1980s. This idea that technology, like John was talking about with regard to the different advents going back to early media, even go back to cave wall paintings, where someone started dancing and they're like, oh no, now there's this. This guy can talk or whatever. But that in so technology always is there to help make us more efficient. And maybe there's these other things that happen as a result, right? Because I don't know that TikTok was, well, okay, let's focus on the 1980s. So in the 1980s, I was thinking, anything from, with regard to technology is, microwaves, personal computers, home video game consoles, VCRs, cable television, for example, were advents in technology. Is that the right word? Advents? That sounds weird. Yeah. Walkman, we had, the introduction of 24 news cycles, 24 music video cycles, 24 sports cycles with MTV, CNN, and ESPN all started in the 1980s.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if to what extent the media we consumed then and our experiences were a part of this trajectory that got us to the TikToks of today. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely think it can't be removed from that. It's part of a process.
Well, from my background in broadcasting, one thing I know intimately about the 24-hour news cycle, and I guess by extension, the sports cycle and whatever else, is that it absolutely lowered the bar for what qualifies as news. Right. So you used to have a few hours of the day where you shared your news.
This is it, like this show, much like this show.
Oh no.
Because of the need for content.
And so, it was like the, hour 5 of watching, waiting for the smoke to come out for a pope or whatever.
Right.
Like you would
Yes.
never live content waiting for a thing to happen. You might cut in when it happened.
Sure.
But now because you had to fill the entire day, if there wasn't something absolutely earth shattering, you had to escalate something to make it feel important enough.
Yeah.
Which ultimately lowered the bar on what qualified as newsworthy, noteworthy.
Mm-hmm.
And to draw the parallel to what we were talking about today, that continues to happen. It happened in the pandemic where no one would dare put a Zoom or Skype call on network television. The quality was too low. But during that time when there was no other option, they did it and found out that people kept watching.
Yeah.
So now the quality of what they'll accept is much lower.
Yeah.
Because we found that during a time when we were forced to do that, we found that, we lowered our criteria and they didn't tune out. And so there's this downward dumbification of what qualifies as entertainment as well. Because if people watch it, let's try a little dumber. Oh, they watched that too. Yeah. Let's smack myself with a frying pan. Oh, 1,000 views on that. Let's try something dumber. As people will accept something that is less than the quality that used to be the bottom bar, why push above that if people continue to engage with what we consider subpar? So it's human nature that's driving it. It's not the technology this time, to my point earlier.
And I guess while I would say that look, in the 1980s, we still had a bar. And we still had mechanisms in place to look, for better or for worse, there were gatekeepers of content. And those were television, studio or, television networks.
They're the
ultimately.
networks. Yeah.
Yeah.
But before that, there were the producers and the production companies and the casting directors, publishers for books, or recording studios and labels for music. And look, there were problems with that. And obviously the way things are democratized more today is better for a lot of reasons, except for what John's saying. Yeah, I think the race to the bottom is our own doing because things like YouTube allowed for anybody to make anything. I don't think everybody should be creating. Some people should just have a diary and write shit down in the book and put it in a drawer. I don't need to know what you ate today.
I'm tired of
All right.
Jonathan, your uncle started a podcast. Oh, did he? Wonderful.
Yeah, exactly.
One more competing for listens.
And then it's, hey, welcome to John's uncle's podcast. I'm here with Lil Bobby again. Hey, Lil Bobby, what'd you do this weekend?
I went to the store and I got a sucker. I got a sucker.
That's cool.
Sucker. It was a quarter. Mom said no, but Dad gave me a quarter.
I'm really not sure what we should do this week as far as the topic goes.
I'm gonna go zoo. We'll go zoo after we're done. Go zoo.
Oh yeah, but what are we going to talk about during this actual podcast? Now we need some content or show.
Going to the zoo later. We could talk about the lions and the monkeys and a bear.
Our sponsor this week is Blue Chew.
What? Oh,
all right. Real sponsors. Those are real sponsors. I take them.
But I love how John just jumped right in there.
What I was going to say, of course he does. So I don't think in the 80s we had the dumbification in that sense. We still had a high bar because we had these gatekeepers in place as far as the quality of things. But the technology was serving it up to us in a way that we were more in control of having stuff on demand. Additionally, we had more choices, which, probably leads into other things. But today, what is it? The whole old joke about 300 channels was the Bruce Springsteen song and nothing on.
And nothing's on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Cable.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So, I think at least to some extent, I'm agreeing with Kat. I know that we are unfortunately on this trajectory. I don't say we are, unfortunately, we're just passengers on this sort of journey because there's very little we can do to wrestle the reins from these folks who are driving, taking this plane into the side of a mountain.
Dust, wind, dude.
Yep.
But there's no way to pull out of it though. Yep. Really, if you think about it, it requires something new to come along to pull it out. Mm-hmm. The article that you had, it paints it a bit dire. It's not the end of those things. There's a downward trend. It's not, there are no movies. Well, there are movies. There are no new artists. Well, there are.
There are.
Certainly not to the extent that there was, not the quality, certainly more people relying on franchises and sequels to guarantee that they have, an established audience to go in, which is a further dumbification of original content. But it's not so dire as that this eliminates. It's that it's taking so much of the air out of the room that it's stifling those other things. To your point earlier, Will, you talked about buying back catalogs of established artists.
Mm-hmm.
What percentage of their budget was that? Was that at the exclusion of these others, or did they do that? And we just don't know that, but I think it's fair to assume that it has diminished radically because of the other avenues and the other ways that wait for the cream to rise to the top and then invest in them. Don't invest in an artist. Wait until they're popular and then sign them. Is what you can do now, because they can you can invent yourself online and then get a record deal later.
Yeah, it's the same thing with book publishers too. We've heard so many stories of successful authors just first having a blog or something, or writing fan fiction like Stephanie Meyer, and then getting picked up by a publisher after they've self-published for a while and proven it.
Right. After you've established and created a following, it's like, you do that work, and then if you're successful, then we'll sign you. Yeah, that's problematic.
You think about my own book as I gear up to try to get someone to publish it. One of the questions they ask you when you submit to a publisher is, what's your social media presence and how many followers do you have? And what is your plan to market the book? Not our plan. We're just going to put it on paper.
That's your job.
Yeah.
I wrote it. Yeah. You had to promote it.
Let's see. In the chat here, Brandon says it's all about the instant gratification, today's version of reading the back of a cereal box as a kid. But the only difference is after the cereal, we went outside and played or did something else more mentally productive.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I just had another bowl of cereal. Just another one. So I can keep reading more cereal.
Karen says you're not consuming content while you're creating it. But the home renovations I'm behind on, a lot of my content, including your vlog, John, hopefully I'll be able to catch up. Yeah. Good. And we put this out there before we came on the air. And there's a couple of interesting, I think, points folks made on Facebook as well. And I wanted to bring up at least two of them. Lucy suggested that this may have begun with the children's programming of our youths, because
oh my gosh,
I was thinking in the 1980s, but she mentions here, quote, Sesame Street, Electric Company, Zoom, and MTV really fed into our generation's relatively quick attention spans compared with our parents. And since that was awesome, we've been trending that way since.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
To me, I was almost write that off, because I think about they develop content that would be suitable for a child, and I know they work with psychologists to do that, and that shorter segments are probably better. But that almost then proves how awful what we have today is.
Oh, right.
Like John's saying, it's so low. Like, this is we make this for like infants. Toddlers.
Can't we mature?
Well, and two, when you have short form content, you know what else you can't do? You can't present like points to reinforce or establish or something you're positing. All you can do is go, look at me, act a fool for 10 seconds. Click like. Right? You don't have time to go in depth on anything with content that's 60 seconds long. That's another problem that I experience.
Keith wrote, I don't mind quick fixes of entertainment as long as the content stimulates one's brain cells. See Neil deGrasse Tyson, for example. And I thought this point was even more interesting. To me, the more content we have available, the less intelligent we as a society have become. That's kind of goes to that cable channel thing.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And so many people making content. So many.
Yeah.
It's not being fine-tuned. It's not being edited or improved by a team of people. It's just,
that's a double-edged sword. I mean, you said already, Will, it's nice to have this democratization of publishing, but with no gatekeeper, it means anybody can do anything. Yeah. And the hope is that the best stuff will rise to the top, but it doesn't always. No. Sometimes the trendiest thing rises to the top, or the least clad thing rises to the top. Maybe that's what actually gets the attention rather than something more thoughtful. So,
the most provocative, least clad thing, you covered that. Yeah. It's funny. My brain was working on figuring out what you meant by least clad. And it was only until I started saying mine that I was like, that's what he meant.
I was trying to be very sensitive about it. I don't want to say boobs. So I said least clad.
It took me a beat too.
I like the face John made when he said boobs. Boobs. His eyes were popping out of his head.
I didn't have to work at that. That's how I say that word.
I have to say, I felt after reading the this article that you shared with us, I felt really bummed, like really, really bummed and depressed after reading it. But I mean, I feel a little bit better though now with us talking about it. It's just helping me process, and not that I feel hopeful, but I do feel like, well, there is still good stuff being produced by somebody. Mm-hmm. It's just, there's all this other junk that you have to slog through maybe to get to it.
And you kind of reinforced my point. This was thoughtful discussion and debate about it that you can't do in the 60-second window. It's a different kind of, it's a more intellectual gratification, not that instant hit thing. And that has value too. It's just harder to get an audience for, as you know, we all know. So
I guess, the final, like you sort of, I don't know, maybe alluded to this earlier, or maybe not, maybe didn't. How does what we do fit into that? I mean, I think for me, for the show, I've been fighting putting stuff on TikTok, I think, because intuitively I feel like there's something off about that thing. YouTube, even with the shorts and the reels, and you know how it is. John knows this better than I do. You need these things to rise above, like he's talking about. And John's got great content, so you want him to rise above. Oh yeah, but it feels gross to me. Like I post clips from our show. Those are longer pieces, and have a beginning, middle, and end. That's all.
Right.
Well, the problem, Will, is systemic. It's you and I can try to fight against, well, my content is too whatever to be chopped up in little pieces like that. Sure. Mm-hmm. The problem is the platforms that we exist on reward people that do those things. Yeah. And though there is no evidence that people who watch your short content will then carry over and transform into long form watchers, there is evidence that if you do not create short form, you can diminish your long form audience simply because the platform does not prioritize you because you're not creating what's most profitable for them. Yeah. So it's like, I don't want to do it because it doesn't give me anything, but if I don't do it, I might lose something is the problem. And it's, that's the real conundrum that creators of all spaces are in right now. It's like, well, I got to do the quick hit stuff or I will get ignored because that's where everybody is dumping the majority of their content and the majority of their eyeballs, to your point earlier.
Yeah, and you're right. And Ted Gioia points out in his piece how these algorithms, they dictate that you create the short form content that they want, which they know they're going to leverage by getting you addicted, and so on and so forth. I don't know that anybody's used the word addicted in a boardroom at one of these at YouTube, but we know what they're doing.
but it's implied.
Oh.
All right. Hey, let's give somebody.
They call it engagement.
Yes. Let's give somebody a burst of dopamine right now and give away this giant size Funko Pop Deadpool.
Deadpool dopamine.
I don't know. All right. Hey, hashtag Kokomo in the comments if you'd like your chance to get this Deadpool over to you, courtesy of Kokomo Toys and Collectibles.
I didn't know they made them that big.
I didn't either. Kokomo Toys is awesome. Wow. I feel like I haven't thanked them enough this episode. What's up, John? Oh, I see. I know. Now, brain, I'm working in delay, but I'm catching up though. I'm in both times. The president of the
eyeballs.
That was my boobs face.
We're gonna isolate that, John.
Thank you.
And whenever we play, this is what one of us is gonna say before that. Hey, take a look at this. Karen, give it to Brandon.
Put a little bonnet on it, and it could be a doll.
Who wanted it? Brandon wanted it, right? Yeah, Brandon wanted it. All right. Congratulations, Karen.
Brandon wanted it.
All right. Hey, that was our show.
And our show is brought to you thanks in part to our early adopters like Karen Flieger and Rick Parker. Thank you for joining us tonight, both of you. And thank you especially to our Secret of Our Success Level Patreon supporters, Marcus Taylor, Tony Great, Nick Guillory, Craig Coletta, Matt Marino, John Henderson, and Brandon Greer.
Excellent.
And we want to welcome back to the fold our good friend, Brad Bowman.
Brad! Yay!
Thanks, Brad. We appreciate you coming back to join us. Of course, Brad was a long-timer supporter of the show. And that's fine. Hey, if you need to duck out and come back or not come back, that's cool. We appreciate it. We appreciate those folks that are able to contribute every month to the production of this show by giving us $1 or $2 or $3 or $4 or more. And look, you can too. You can go to 1980snow.com/support. There's a bunch of ways you can give us money or do something for free. You don't have to give us money.
You're in luck. There's so many ways.
Yes. Write a check to cash. Just write it, make it out to cash.
Oh, I thought you were going to say cat.
No, not
you said
cat.
cash.
Oh, cash.
Or you
Don't put a value on it. We'll fill it in when it gets here. We'll put a value. Don't worry.
Yeah. Or you could just make a comment on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Follow us on those places too. Those not Twitter. I don't really do anything on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
But Facebook's real important. In fact, please, so if you haven't, subscribe to us or follow us on Facebook because it'd be great to. The more again, how many followers do you have? Plays such a role. It's so silly. It does, not necessarily reflects the content or who listens to the podcast. But they don't know that, so they don't care.
Right.
That's right.
Anyway, you could also just make a comment like this one from John. John writes, GenX, Grown Up, and 1980s Now podcast are making people have questions about me. Midwest. I know. I was like, what is this? Midwest winter means hats or a hood, and you can't see the earbuds while I'm walking the dog. I'm often laughing like a fool. And people don't know what to think. Luckily, there's not as many people out in the cold, and the dog doesn't care. Dog doesn't care.
I love that.
Thanks, John. We appreciate that.
Yes.
Let's see.
I love when we can make people look crazy.
Yeah. Hey, we got this other message from Tom. He writes, hey, or hi, rather, Will, Kat, and John. I just listened to your recent podcast where you discussed film trailers and Will and John's disdain for trailers. They give away too many spoilers. I guess Kat didn't have it. Kat was like, I don't care.
I'll watch the movie.
One quirk I have is that I always had is that I like spoilers. They don't ruin the film for me at all. When I watch a film or a series with my wife, I always take out my phone, not in theaters, and look up information about whatever we're watching.
Very, very different from you two.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I think that... I don't know. Look, I appreciate Tom's comment here, but that would drive me crazy. Now, I got to be honest with you, though. I am that guy. Now, if I'm sitting on the couch with Tom, I'm like, come on, Tom, will you just watch the movie? But that said, when I'm not sitting on the couch with Tom, I'm that guy.
Oh, no.
And I drive my family crazy. And a lot of it, maybe you guys do this, Kat probably doesn't, maybe John does, is IMDb. Where is this guy from? I know this guy from something. Hang on.
Yeah.
And then I announce it.
Yeah, it's distracting. It's like you have to know because otherwise you're wasting brain cycles trying to figure it out instead of watch.
That happened to me the other night. It's like, who is he? Who is he? Who is he? And I had to look it up.
And then I announce it. Oh, you know what he's from? You guys, you know what he's from? And they
and the answer is never worth it. Yeah, all of the hassle, it's never like, oh, he was in Law and Order. Like everybody else, right? It's never satisfying. It's never like, holy crap, he was that guy. It rarely happens.
All right. Hey, thank you guys for joining us here. And we will, if you did it, that's fine too. Regardless, you listen. So, and you will listen again because we will talk to you again next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
We go to the zoo now?